Welcome to Echo No More, clear, credible, court-ready documentation in high-conflict parenting. No hype, no legal jargon, no drama. I'm Dr. James. If you're new here, I'm really glad you found this space. This podcast is for protective parents navigating high-conflict custody situations, especially when the other parent is manipulative, emotionally unsafe, or unpredictable. I'm not a lawyer, and this podcast isn't legal advice. What I am is a parent who has lived through this system, and someone whose attorneys over and over again told me the same thing. Your documentation is excellent. They told me it made their job easier. They told me it protected my credibility. And they told me it changed how my case was received. That's why I'm sharing this. Not to teach you how to fight, but how to document calmly, clearly, and in a way courts actually understand. This is parent to parent, calm, grounded, and focused on protecting your child without losing yourself. Today, we are going to talk about something that sounds far more intimidating than it actually is. Screenshots, metadata, file integrity, file hygiene. If hearing those words makes you immediately think, I'm not a tech person, I want you to take a deep breath, because I'm going to tell you something I wish someone had told me years ago. You do not have to become a technology expert to document well. You really don't. When I first started hearing terms like metadata, timestamps, original files, and digital integrity, I honestly felt very overwhelmed. I was already trying to parent, navigate court, communicate with attorneys, protect my child, keep my own nervous system regulated. The last thing I wanted was another subject I had to master. But over time, I realized something incredibly reassuring. Courts aren't looking for computer experts. They are looking for people who handle information responsibly. Those are two very different things. You don't need advanced technical skills, you need good habits, and that's all. One thing I often tell parents is this: treat your digital evidence the same way you would treat important family documents. If someone handed you your child's birth certificate, you probably wouldn't start writing notes all over it. You wouldn't cut pieces off of it. You wouldn't keep moving it from folder to folder until you weren't sure which version was the original. You'd protect it. Digital evidence deserves that same respect. Let's start with screenshots because that's what most people use today. Screenshots are wonderful. They're simple, they're fast, they're often incredibly helpful. But remember what a screenshot actually is. It's a photograph of one moment in time. The more complete that moment is, the stronger your evidence becomes. One of the biggest mistakes I see parents make is cropping screenshots too tightly. And I understand why. You're trying to make the important part easier to see. But sometimes that tiny crop removes exactly the information that professionals need. Who sent it? What time? What platform? What happened immediately before or after? Those details matter. Whenever possible, let your screenshots breathe. Include a little more than you think you need. Professionals can always ignore extra content. They can't recover information that was cropped away, though. Another lesson I learned is to preserve the original first. Always. If you want to highlight something later, make a copy. If you want to circle something, make a copy. If your attorney asks you to annotate something, use a copy. The original stays exactly as it was. Think of it this way. Your original screenshot is the evidence. Everything else is simply your working copy. That one habit protects you more than almost anything else. Now, let's talk about metadata. And I promise this won't become a technology lesson. Metadata simply means information about the file. Things like when it was created, what device created it, whether it has been modified. You don't have to understand how to read any of that. You simply want to avoid accidentally changing it. That's why preserving originals matters so much. One question parents ask me all the time is, what if I already cropped something?
Or what if I don't have the original anymore? Please don't panic. Remember something important. Courts understand you're a parent, not a forensic computer analyst. Perfection isn't the goal. Good faith is. If you've made mistakes in the past, simply improve your system moving forward. Consistency over time builds credibility. Another surprisingly important habit is how you name your files. It seems like such a small thing, but small things create big impressions. Imagine handing your attorney 2 folders. One contains files named Proof He's Lying, Another Abusive Message, She's Crazy. The other contains files named Talking Parents 2026-03-15, Email, School Meeting 2026-04-10, Text Exchange, Medical Appointment. Which system feels calmer? Which feels easier to trust? The second one, every time. Because neutral organization communicates confidence. You don't need your file names to convince anyone. The evidence should do that. Let's talk about file hygiene next. Honestly, that's just a fancy phrase for staying organized. Nothing more. When I say file hygiene, I simply mean creating a system you can maintain. Not a perfect system, not a beautiful system, a usable system. Personally, I found that once everything had a home, my anxiety decreased dramatically. Instead of wondering, where did I save that email? Or which folder has those screenshots? I knew exactly where everything belonged. That organization wasn't just good for court, it was good for my nervous system. One thing I also learned was to stop constantly reopening old evidence. This was hard, really hard, because when you're living through high conflict, it's easy to keep rereading painful messages, looking for something you missed, trying to make sense of behavior that doesn't make sense. And eventually, I realized something. Preserving evidence and reliving evidence are not the same thing. Save it, label it, back it up, then close it. Your documentation system should remember those painful moments, so you don't have to. That's one of the healthiest changes I ever made. I also recommend having at least one backup. Nothing complicated, an external drive, cloud storage, whatever works for you. The goal isn't perfection. It's knowing that if your phone breaks tomorrow, your documentation doesn't disappear with it. Finally, I want to leave you with this thought. Sometimes parents tell me, I'm terrible with technology. I smile because I understand exactly what they mean, but here's what I've learned. You don't need to be good with technology. You need to be consistent with your habits. Screenshots, original files, neutral names, one organized location, one backup, that's enough, really. Don't let technology intimidate you into believing you can't create strong documentation. Because the strongest documentation isn't created by computer experts. It's created by calm, consistent parents who care enough to build a system they can trust. And that's something every one of us can do. So, this week, spend just 30 minutes organizing what you already have. Not because your case depends on perfection, but because your future self and your attorney will thank you.
Before we close, I want to remind you of something important. You don't need to document everything, you don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to convince anyone with emotion. Calm documentation is power. If this episode helped you, you will find a full structured system in my guide, Clear, Credible, Court Ready. It's designed to support, not replace, your attorney. And if you want help turning everything you're documenting into something organized and usable, you can visit www.economocoaching.org to download my guide on how to create a clear, court-ready documentation binder. Take what helps, leave what doesn't, and most of all, take care of yourself. I'll see you next week.